Good evening. This is Councilmember Toohey with the Safe Community Committee meeting. For this evening, I'm with Councilmember Bader and Councilmember Fossey. Tonight, we're going to start with an update on our flock safety camera system, and we have Assistant Chief Hendrickson here this evening. We'll pass it right on to you. Thank you. Welcome.
Hey, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate the chance to come and talk about flock. We're still very, very excited about what it's provided so far. The system still, though, is in the implementation phase. Currently, we're not 100% up as far as the cameras installations. We have 64 of the 74 cameras have been installed. Currently, 4 of the remaining cameras are waiting for some permitting issues that we're working through right now. 4 are actually good to go. We're just waiting for the vendor to install them. And then 2, we're just waiting for infrastructure, some power to be addressed. So we're making really good progress on getting everything installed, but we're still about 10 cameras short. Currently, the transparency dashboard is up and running on our website, the police department website. Anybody can go to our website, just go to the section that says Get Information, and then Flock Safety Systems is a tab in there. It'll basically show the number of hits we've had on the system. It shows our policy. It shows protections that we're providing to the community to make sure we're not invading privacy and such. So all that information's on there. I've verified it's up and running. Just some basic numbers we've had so far. We've made 26 arrests based off of the system. We've had 17 stolen vehicle recoveries. 2 missing persons were located. 5 drug cases and 1 gun, 1 illegal firearm was recovered. So
COVID-19 pandemic, but would not provide enough revenue to keep up with the expected growth in jobs and
some more than notable cases since then. An additional murder suspect was located in town based off the flock system. The murder was committed down in the Puget Sound area. They contacted our violent crime unit. They used the flock system, and within 15 minutes, they located the suspect's vehicle, took him into custody. So it's pretty fantastic. Some of the other great ones we've had, the officers are starting to use it more and more for DV cases. A lot of DV cases happen, and then people will flee the scene. A lot of our patrol officers now are really getting good at entering it right into flock, and we've recovered and made several arrests for DV suspects, and I really like that as well. Another case was a stolen vehicle. Once the vehicle was located by flock, patrol officers found it, recovered firearms, stolen police gear out of Seattle, and then they also rigged emergency lights in the car. So it's pretty concerning what happened, so it's another great one. But the other thing, too, that we're starting to see now is officers using it for maybe lower level cases than not murders and stuff like that, but vehicle prowess suspects, and things like that. So like I said, it's still in the implementation phase, but the officers start to use it, some really effective stuff. So we're hoping once the system gets up 100%, we make some tweaks on it, it'll be even more effective.
Okay, any questions? Yes, Councilmember Fossey.
Do you have a map or a kind of general idea where they are, the ones that are up and running?
I don't. Well, it's a online portal. We can take a look at it. Typically, we're not releasing information about exactly where the cameras are.
Okay.
Because the issues we are worried about is if we put out the map of where the cameras are,
okay,
people want to steal cars and someone will go by those cameras. So,
gotcha.
And realistically, it's really a dynamic system. There's all sorts of metrics they look at for whether they're effective where they're at, and we'll start moving those cameras around. So, does that make sense?
Okay, I thought we had one that we were doing like at Jackson Park, or is that?
We are Jackson Park, Lions Park, and Walter Hall Park. Lions Park is up and running. The other 2 are waiting for the power infrastructure. I think Jackson's Park, the transformer got hit a while back, and they're working on getting the power into it. We're prioritizing those, but it's a matter of running some power lines, so we're working on those.
Okay.
The parks are a priority to get them up and running.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Can you remind me, what do the cameras do? There were differences between the cameras at the parks versus the other cameras. Can you remind me what those differences were?
Yeah, the 3 cameras at the park are pan, zoom, tilt. So basically they're a video camera that can cover the entire parks. The officers aren't using them for general surveillance, but if there is something happens in the park, we can use them to go back, find suspect information, or we get eyes on it before we go in for planning purposes. So those are those 3. The rest of them are all automatic license plate recorders. So they don't take video, they don't do any of that stuff. They basically take a picture of the back of the car and the plate. And if the plate's on what they call a hot list, whether it be stolen, whether it be a suspect in a vehicle, whatever, suspect in some sort of crime, that alert comes onto the web-based browser and it pops up with a picture of the back of the car and what the alert's over.
Can you, I had kind of the same question as Councilmember Fossey in terms of location. Can you kind of give us a general sense? Are they pretty well spread over the city? I'm not safe like to drive really fast down Mukilteo Boulevard and you know, or down
Sure.
wherever and avoid it or something like
Yeah,
that.
for sure. So we started out when we were planning this, we started planning based off the parks, the 3 parks that we've had a lot of problems with. And then we kind of expanded from then. As we were able to get more and more grant money, we kind of expanded it out farther. Because the idea being that, okay, so we know something happened in Jackson Park. Okay, the car's on West Marine, or goes down West Marine View. Where does it go from there? So a lot of them are all based off of arterials, but they are pretty spread evenly throughout the city, with the idea behind it of covering as much of the city as we can.
Finally, if I can ask one more
No, go
question.
ahead.
Thanks. How will you decide where to move them to? Is there any kind of, not policy, but a rationale, I guess, behind how they get moved?
Yeah, there's the metrics on the system provides is pretty amazing. So we'll look at, you know, the number of hits. So if a camera's not getting any stolen vehicle hits or any of that stuff, or it's not getting those reads, then we'll start looking at where they are. And so obviously we're always looking at crime trends. We're always looking at where new hotspots are popping up in the city, whether it be for violent crime or for auto theft. And then we'll start looking at tailoring that area more. So there's additional, I mean, the planning for the system has 3 options. Obviously, we couldn't afford the Cadillac model, but there's additional spots we can put to cover more areas of the city and make sure it's more complete, I guess is what I'd say.
Great. And if I recall, it's really, we pull in from a regional, you know, list of license plate numbers that people are looking for. Is that the whole state, or is it just the, on the west side, or is there any rule on that?
Yeah, for sure. The system that it uses is a nationwide system. So we've gotten stolen plates from out of the state. And the system automatically reads them and tells us. So it's a nationwide system that tracks all that information. The other option is if I'm investigating a domestic violence incident, I can go in there and put the plate in there with a rationale of domestic violence suspect, you know, PC for arrest. And that will be locally available to us as well. But for stolen cars, it's a nationwide system.
And if, say, I mean, I've seen occasionally cars without license plates. So will the cameras pick that up and kind of red flag that as something that needs to be looked at?
So that is an option that we could search by. So if we have a suspect that leaves a scene driving a red, you know, whatever car with no license plate, that's one of the things we could put in there, and it'll search for that. It will not alert us just to a no license plate, because that's not a criminal matter that we'd want it tracking people for.
Okay, great. Well, great. It's good to hear that it's gotten off to such a good start. And I know there's several other cities in our area that have also got this flock system going. So good job. Thank you so much. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, I hadn't seen this updated agenda, so I apologize, Julie, for passing you by. We're going to have an update on the buffer zone now from Julie Willie.
Thank you. I was happy to hear from DC Hendrickson. It's our 3rd meeting that we've been in today together, so, you know, it's feel connected. And just to be clear, this is a new buffer zone recommendation coming to you that we're sharing tonight at council. Chief DeRoos will be there to talk about Andy's Place and some of the that buffer zone in particular. So this is a different topic, not a general update for all of our buffer zones. So just as a point of a little bit of a reminder, in May of 2023, council approved an ordinance allowing the creation of a service facility buffer zone for social service providers, shelter and temporary housing providers, and other high-impact areas, establishing the area, taking into account the impact to public health and safety for residents, business, staff, and individuals seeking services, as well as the city resources utilized in the area. Once established, certain activities are prohibited within a 2-block radius, including sitting or lying on public rights-of-way or distributing goods and services without a permit. Mayor Franklin has approved the staff recommendation for a new high-impact buffer zone surrounding the Imagine Children's Museum, which is located at 1502 Wall Street. In addition, staff were influenced by a cluster of properties in the surrounding area that also met the required number of qualifying events, including the 7-Eleven at 916 Pacific, Hope and Wellness at 3021 Rucker, and the Marriott at 3003, Colby. This buffer zone is based on the required 6 or more qualifying events around the cluster of these addresses or within 200 feet radius of the addresses over the past 6 months. And each of those locations have met the criteria independently. But as I said, we're still clustering kind of the epicenter of the buffer zone at the Children's Museum. So in addition to the qualifying events, this area has experienced longstanding and ongoing community impacts, as evident by the high call volumes from businesses and neighborhoods with complaints and requests, our police, fire, and social worker response and follow-up, public work cleanups, and our ongoing concerns for ensuring a revitalized downtown. Within the next 30 to 45 days, the staff will be posting information and maps on our city website. We'll be informing the parcels that are encompassed in that 2-block radius, adding signage to the neighborhood, and working with our community support team and emergency responders to provide outreach and education to those that are in the area. And this is the end of my update. As we've been through it a few times before, I don't know if you have any questions. Happy to answer them. So,
Any questions? Councilmember Fosse.
So the qualifying events, I remember when this policy had originally gone through, and I thought that that was kind of a low bar for the qualifying events. For better or worse, it doesn't matter, really. I was more wondering, like, can you kind of give me a ballpark, and I'm talking very, very vague, of places that would not qualify with those kind of qualifying events? I mean, like, it seems like where the bar was for what was required, and it's pretty busy downtown anyways. Would there be any area that technically we know would not have those type of events where, do you know what I mean? Like,
I do. I agree that the qualifying events is one of the criteria for establishing a buffer zone, and that's kind of that's our best data set when we utilize our police analysts to give us the data of the different types of crimes and things that happen in the area. But in this situation, there are 6 maybe different businesses, maybe 8, that continue to call and have concerns in the area. Our social workers and our co-ed officers have also tried to educate and help the community understand why they shouldn't be there and how to move and things like that. So there's a lot of other factors.
no, I mean, outside of this area.
Oh,
Of the areas like
Oh,
over here and
yeah,
over here and
yeah.
over here, I would assume all these areas would also have meet that threshold.
Yeah.
Are there?
They might very well, but then we haven't had the other circumstances that would lead us to say that's a high impact area, that would lead us to even go and take the data. For example, we have a shelter in Central Everett, and we ran the data there. They had 1 qualifying event. So even though it's around a shelter, there isn't that kind of impact in that area.
Okay,
If we would
that's
have
what
ran it and we would have had, then we would have known, and then we would have looked at where are we doing social work out, what else are we doing in that area?
So they did not meet that threshold. So there are areas of the city that do not meet that threshold
Right.
currently. That's what I was trying to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I don't have all of
Oh,
the
no,
areas
no, I was looking
scanned,
for
so yeah.
vaguely.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilmember Bader?
Here, thanks.
Thank you, Julie. Well, I, work right down the street, and I've spent a lot of time with the folks at the Children's Museum. And so I know firsthand the challenges that we've had. And I hope that this improves the situation. I know that since we did pass the law on putting people in jail for drug use, outdoor drug use. That has helped because we had a lot of that in the alleys and so on. So I hopefully will see, I'll know firsthand because I see it every day. So anyway, we'll look forward to this, so.
It's certainly a tool in our toolbox, and we also, maybe it will give us an opportunity to re-engage with those that are down there to help them maybe
Right.
find other
That'd
opportunities.
be great, yeah, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next cameras, our traffic safety cameras, and we have Corey Hurt back with us.
Great.
Welcome, Corey.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to come talk to you again about photo enforcement. Quick update on where we're at. Northbound and southbound, Broadway and 16th, red light photo enforcement. You'll remember we started issuing warnings on June 10th. Due to a high-speed crash, we had to turn the system off on September 9th. And I can tell you now that the system's back up and running as of October 16th when we got that signal back up and running. Northbound and southbound Rucker and 41st, the warning day, 30-day warning day period started on Monday, October 21st. We do anticipate citations, notices of infraction being issued on November 20th. Eastbound 112th at Evergreen Way, warnings will begin this coming Monday, October 28th, and we anticipate on or around December 2nd after Thanksgiving, moving to notices of infraction on that camera system. So with the Horizon School Speed Zone, that means 7 of the 11 cameras are current in operation, and we'll be issuing warnings or notices of infraction as of Monday. And for the remainder locations, we are pursuing power to get those installed. Signs are installed at all those locations to make sure we meet the 30-day requirement in the RCW for having those posted prior to issuing warnings or citations. And so that is it for red light photo enforcement. For the Horizon School Speed Zone, we started that on April 3rd. The kids were off in mid-June through August for summer break, and we started it on September 6th. We restarted the first day of school. We predicted about 50.1 violations per school day per camera, and that is holding fairly true to course. May through June of last year, of last school year, there were about 6 weeks, we were averaging about 61 alleged violations per day. In September of this year, through 17 school days, we were averaging about 57 alleged violations per school day. And in October, about the first 14 days of this month, we're looking at 56.7 alleged violations per day. And I will note that the IM 751 strike started on September 13th, and while the numbers have dropped somewhat, we haven't seen a significant drop-off in the number of violations. From a safety standpoint, we're still seeing about a 75% reduction in overspeed vehicles. That's vehicles traveling 10 miles per hour above the speed limit while the beacons are flashing in the school zone. And since the program began, we've issued about 12,000 warnings or citations. 94% of the offending vehicles have had just 1 or 2 violations. And we do have 1 vehicle with 39 alleged infractions and 1 vehicle with 27. But it drops off precipitously from there. So it tells us that most people are not having more than 1 or 2 violations during that period, and most people are driving safely and more safely as a result of the school zone speed camera. So that is all I have. Any questions?
Councilmember Fosse.
Sorry, just a little bit of clarity. So the Horizon Speed Zone is up and running. You've had 12,000 warnings so far since it was up and going?
No, of all of the systems, most of which are the Horizon School Zone, we've issued a total of 12,000 warnings and citations. There have been about 3,100 warnings and 8,700 citations since the system was turned on.
How much money does that equate to?
Right now, I don't have exact numbers on the revenue. I do know that through the end of September, of those people who have paid their fines, that number is about 363,000.
Is that kind of where we were expecting to be at this juncture with all the warnings and all the?
It is,
Delayed,
yes.
okay.
We are tracking pretty close to our revenue projections at this point and projecting things to be revenue neutral or better.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bader.
Thanks. Corey, on any, obviously, Horizon you spoke to doesn't seem like things have dropped off yet. How about on any of the other, I mean, we only have, a couple other locations with the cameras in place, but any other behavior changes yet that we've seen?
Everything we've seen so far has been, the major change has been the Horizon School Zone. We don't have enough data yet from the red light system to say that they are performing, that we've seen a big drop off in red light violations.
Because obviously that's ultimately what we want, is
Correct.
to change. What do we do with these egregious violators who get 39 and 27 and, et cetera? What's the plan of attack with dealing with those folks?
I'd refer that to police. I don't deal with that portion of it.
Yeah. So basically, they're parking tickets is what they are, right? And that's how we treat them. Every violation gets reviewed by an officer, and they say yes or no. And it gets sent to the courts for a citation. We're not targeting anybody to go out there and find them. Obviously, when we start seeing these egregious people, we'll probably start notifying our traffic safety division, saying, hey, look, we're seeing this repeated person out here. Can we, if you happen to see him violating, please, pay attention to it. But we're not targeting anybody, and we're processing them as they come.
I assume with parking violations, we have a similar problem. People just get them and don't pay them. Probably that's the kind of behavior we're going to see when you have 39 or 27 in a.
Yeah, I assume so. And then basically what happened is they won't be allowed to, renew their tabs, their license tabs. And then that'll be the actual violation the officer will see.
Okay, well, that's great. So 7 of the 11 cameras then are up and functioning, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. I wanted to hear that. And so we look forward to 3 or 6 months down the road, maybe next year, getting an update on how the behaviors are improving, hopefully.
Yes, I would love to come back and tell you that, that Casino Road has seen a significant crash reduction and our angle crashes are going down around the city. I look forward to that.
Yeah, great. Anything else? No? All right, thank you so much. That's all we had on the agenda for tonight, but we do have our next meeting proposed agenda items. Did you want to go over any of that?
Sure.
You had some things, I think, working on.
Here we go. Well, your next meeting will, unless we make a special meeting, would be in January. We're getting closer on the noise ordinance. It's on Hill's plate, but I think we're,
Would that come here or to the whole council?
I don't know, what are your thoughts? I mean, so normally in ordinance, we probably would just go straight to the whole council, but it has been one that well, you haven't been able to talk about it a lot. I know it's taken a while.
Well,
but
I don't know,
is it-
whatever.
I don't know. Do you have thoughts about
Councilmember
wanting an
Fossey?
early briefing or?
I think we recently had brought up how we wanted things to kind of go to committee, but I would touch base probably with the council leadership on it. But it sounded like that was what they were hoping would happen, to have council be involved in things that are being brought forward. I mean, it can already be like pre-baked and brought, and then it's just due diligence at that point, I think.
Yeah, it might help answer questions before it gets to council, just as, to refresh everybody's memory and all that kind of stuff. Or maybe there's things about the ordinance that you guys are wondering, should we do this or that? And we can kind of, have that discussion. Yeah.
I would just say that if it's ready to come to council, say, or if it's ready in late November, early December, I'd rather have us move forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Than, yeah, than.
That's true also.
And I'd be willing to have a committee meeting in December if we needed to, but.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have an exciting life.
Yeah, I think if the timing is right,
Yeah,
why wait till January? Yeah.
It's ready, it just needs to get formatted onto the correct thing, and so, I think whenever it is a good time to get that scheduled, it's ready to go.
Oh, your mic.
Yeah,
All right, I was just saying, we're close to, there's some formatting cleanup that needs to be done, and then it's ready to be shared.
Yeah, I think the council would like to see it probably sooner than later, is my guess. Yeah. Okay.
okay.
What
Well,
else do you, yeah.
So I'll still talk to council president and vice
Yeah.
president, and maybe we end up with, if there isn't content for one of the other committees, maybe I see if there's another time that's not a fourth Wednesday that you guys are available, or we just bring it to the full council. I kind of like the committee idea because I think that there might be things that council members have raised over the years that aren't in the ordinance. And some of it will be because of legal reasons that like we can only go so far with this regulation, or it's a enforcement question, not a ordinance question. And I think it might be good to talk it out a little bit, but I'll check and see about timing and yeah.
I think one of the benefits to committees is also that it provides a little bit of extra time for council members to review what's going on and provide feedback. So I am totally fine if we end up having like a remote special meeting or something like that to adapt to the time sensitivity if you think it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Plus, like, the rest of your meetings, the rest of the year are all gonna be long. So it might benefit from a little extra time, so.
Good point. And I didn't mean to imply we should meet on Christmas, which I know is the.
I just saw, I was skimming the rest of the stuff that's on the extended items, but you guys have retail theft prevention on there, and that was, so Council President Schwab, in his role with the cities and towns, had some Everett PD staff, but also Linwood and somebody else from like Washington Retailers Association, I think, presented on that at the last Cities and Towns. So he had mentioned, he was interested in getting that topic in front of council, just it's a big deal. We've talked about it in the context of some of our bigger stores. The presentation was really interesting, and so anyways, it's already there, so that might be something that would be good to calendar, and that would just be briefing information anyways, but yeah. I don't know.
Well, the neighborhood block watch, we haven't heard anything. I thought things would be coming to us kind of all wrapped up and like a nice little package.
There's things that are in like really great, close to the end draft form that I think,
And that probably
reached out
can,
for an
because we've
update, but-
discussed it, I think, a couple times in here, perhaps if it's ready to go to full council, but it would sure be nice to kind of get that launched.
yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's another review
Yeah.
period. Like so I'll figure out the status.
Yeah, we
of
just
it.
need to know
Yeah.
where it's sitting and so that we can know what to do with that information.
Yeah.
Is there an update on the dollars that we put towards the police evidence room? Somebody had brought that up.
I don't know, but I can find out. No idea about that one. Yeah.
I think they were waiting for the report to come back on the Comeback building as far as renovation. And they probably have it by now, I'm just not sure where they're at on it.
Do you know?
Because that was where it was gonna go.
It did come back. I'm not prepared to give you the best answer now. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for that, but we do have the report. It was reviewed, and I thought it was being looked at right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so like recently the report came back, and so everything's still in process?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks.
That's a good question, though. Okay. Anything else that we've discussed over time and things we haven't heard from in a while that anybody wants to keep on the up at the top of the list?
Not that I can think of, sir.
Okay. Anything for you, Mary? All right. Well, thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
All right.
That's it for
great.
tonight. Thank you.